We're back here on a Couch Coach Live, the August 4th, 2015. I guess it's National Night Out, but we decided to stay in.
I didn't know if that was in the agenda.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, it is National Night Out. I mean, that's what they do, you know.
Okay.
With us living in this jurisdiction, they do stuff like that where, you know. But anyway, we're here live at the Man Cave. This is Couch Coach Live. I guess we need to get it started with the elephant in the room. That's been the elephant in the room of Couch Coach Live since the beginning of time. Since the beginning, you jumped on board in May.
It's been May. That's not.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
The vitriol that is spewed, but no, we're not gonna do that. But first, we got get into I can't say Richmond. You forbidden for saying Richmond, but.
Central Virginia.
Central Virginia.
That's better.
You know, the pride of Tuckahoe, Virginia.
Yeah, there you go.
The pride of Collegiate High School. Russell Wilson signed a 4-year, $87.6 million extension, and the also a $61.5 guaranteed.
He had a $31 million signing bonus.
$31 million signing bonus, and even with that. I looked at the numbers for this, this year he'll get 31.7, and he'll get that $700,000 as well. And 2016 is 12.3, 2017 12.6, and 2018 is 15.5, and then 2019 is 17 million. And this is all contingent if he is on the roster at the start of the league new year. So it's one of those things where
it's almost like the Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, pretty much. It's almost similar in nature where it's pretty much it's like every year is like a guarantee.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where.
Okay, all right.
So because I know we talked Friday when the ink went dry on the contract.
It was before the ink got dry.
Well, before the ink really hit the pad. I think the thing is, even though people, we've always said like you overpaying for a guy who really don't. In the grand scheme of things, when you're looking at how the Seattle is comprised, was they're pretty much predicated on defense. And when you look at it from the standpoint of even in the Super Bowl, to hold Tom Brady and the Patriots the way they did, that rarely happens. And then for him to throw that interception, and it's like
if you saw the smile on my face when that game happened.
I was totally in shock. Like it was, I was almost like. I was like, oh my goodness, like I can't believe like this happened. And I'm like, the Patriots won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like,
when that game took place, it was like the instant conspiracy theories went off in my head because right before, at the media day, they were talking to the Seahawks GM, and he was saying he was going to prepare to make Marshawn Lynch the highest paid player in his position.
Yeah.
And also right after that, in the same breath, he's going to make Russell Wilson the highest paid player in his position. He wants to make Russell Wilson. Yeah. Now, the quarterback being in premium position in football, everybody, it goes from you pay your quarterback, then your left tackles. Those are usually your two highest paid players. And it was just like the conspiracy theory went off. Okay, so if Russell Wilson hands this ball off, Marshawn Lynch now takes the thunder. Yeah. He's the game-winning Super Bowl MVP. Because they were the game-winning MVP.
He would.
And there's no way around. You can't not make him the highest-paid player.
Exactly.
So,
if he scored a game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl.
So now the light flips on. All right, Russell Wilson. Because as any football player knows, you're the quarterback. You can audible out of that play if you see something that you don't like. Now, the play that they called was like a quick slant. And it's like, that's the only option. It's like, nah. To me, that doesn't just seem right looking at the play calling standpoint. A slant towards the middle of the field is the only option in the play.
And then you threw it in the middle.
Yeah, and you throw an interception. I'm like, you could check out of that play. You had 2 timeouts left. Something. Even it sounds crazy as it does, you can take a 5-yard penalty, back the offense up so you have more room to work with.
Exactly. Versus being in such a condensed space.
And it's like, you don't even call that play on a 2-point conversion. So why would you call that to win the Super Bowl?
So win
now,
game.
Russell Wilson, he throws that game-winning touchdown. The checkbook is unlimited. You have to pay him that because of the highlight. game-winning touchdown pass.
Exactly.
So that's why I think it's personal between you. Look at how the team is built now. You can see the team divide because they got rid of Percy because Percy, his cap number was so high. But yet Percy is so valuable to any offense that he goes to because of the dimension that he can play. So with that team being built around that defense, now you see Cam Chancellor holding out. Michael Bennett wants to hold out because they know that team is built on the defense, but yet you're going to pay Russell Wilson. And I was like, how are they going to afford Bobby Wagner?
Exactly. And that's what we were saying, like how unfortunately he's going to set this team back.
Yeah.
And we even said last week how if you get Russell to actually win you a game with his arm, you're going to lose.
Yeah, because you saw that was evident in the NFC Championship game.
Exactly.
He threw 4 picks in the first half.
And
he's not a quarterback. Like when you look at it, break it down, $21 million a year. You can give Drew Brees, the guys who completed 70% of their passes, they're going out 4,000 yards. Russell Wilson has yet to top 3,500 yards in a season as a quarterback.
Exactly, and then those in that number, you're looking at the 4,500 to $5,000.
Yeah,
I mean 5,000 yard guys.
Yeah.
You know,
and now Russell Wilson is the second highest paid player in football. He's not even the second best player on his team.
Exactly.
So it's just, and the defense knows that they're the ones who put the people in the seats because you don't hear about Seattle's offense. You hear about the Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
It's their defense, like from the linebackers. I've never seen that second level, that linebackers move sideline to sideline the way they do. And, you know, even when they beat the Broncos and, you know, Russell Wilson's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. No, that defense manhandled Peyton Manning.
Because like you said, because they only mustered 8 points.
Yeah,
now, that team was.
They were breaking numbers left and right.
They had like 600 almost 600 points in offense. In 2013. I mean, they were the consummate offensive juggernaut.
Yeah.
And they held them to 8 points.
Yeah.
And I mean, come on now, 8 points in the Super Bowl. Like,
and
that's
the defensive MVP. The MVP of that game was on the defensive side of the ball.
Exactly. Shout out to Malcolm Smith,
who cashed in. He went to Oakland, so
he got that money.
But that was a Ken Norton move because Ken Norton is now the defensive coordinator.
That's his guy, So that's one of his guys. So of course he gonna snag him along. But I think it's no slight to him whatsoever. But to me, it's just the way this team is set up, which I think it could ultimately help them if in the event if his skills diminish or he gets to a point where they have to wiggle a little bit of room. So I don't know if this would be a situation if he'll like restructure it or what have you.
You know, that's in football. Everybody's gonna restructure. Once the guaranteed money he's gonna restructure. But the way that team and I caught so much heat. And I put Russell Wilson. He's an average quarterback. He's in that third tier quarterback. He's not an elite quarterback. He's a game manager. And they say, well, look at the plays he does. I mean, he's a mobile quarterback. So those plays with his feet, that's what he's doing. That's his skill set. So, and you look at a lot of times when he's throwing those downfield passes, they're busted up plays. So it's a broken coverage some way, somehow. It's not him winning the game with his arm. I mean, then you have beast mode back there. So that's an easy.
It's like you have an escape route.
You got an all-pro punter who gets them in great field position all the time. A defense who's going to get you the ball back. He only has the average. 30 to 40 yards to score on a drive?
Possibly, And even with that, you can go for 3.
Yeah.
And you got, like you said, Marshawn Lynch. And that's why it's so funny because I think about even though that team in 2010 that was 7-9 and made the playoffs, it just shows you like how quick they, not quick, but as far as they were just missing a few little pieces, bringing in Pete Carroll, and then you're looking at the whole situation of just gutting the roster, of its parts, and then bringing in young defensive talent, guys with chips on their shoulders, and then you get a guy like you said, like Russell Wilson, 3rd round, chip on his shoulder as well. But
and then everybody's like, well, he beat out veteran. He beat out Matt Flynn and Tavares Jackson. These guys are career backups. They're not going to be starters in this league.
Because I think what happened was everybody got caught up in that 6 touchdown performance against the Lions in the last week of the season when he was playing for Green Bay, and everybody was thinking, well, And then I think we always get, that whole Green Bay backup mentality. Yeah. I think it goes back for that Brent Favre age where it was like, okay, you had Mark Brunell, then you had Matt Hasselbeck as if he was going to be the next heir apparent as far as backup quarterbacks
with Green Bay. I think that those guys who turned out to be average starters in the league, they were just products of good systems.
Yeah,
because I tip my hat off to Green Bay because they are probably one of the best run franchises in all of football because they don't have an owner.
Yeah.
They don't have a single owner who dictates and pulls the strings like most teams. So
yeah. They don't have a ringleader or someone who can literally destroy the franchise. And I like the fact that they have their own. They're not owned by anybody as far as everybody can have a share. Like we can buy shares of Green Bay Packers stock for like a couple dollars a share.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Then I like how the whole when Brett Favre retired. How they only charge people $4.
Yeah.
Now just imagine if Mr. Laurie or Mr. Snyder, he wants me to pay $10 a park in a sand lot, just to watch practice. Versus in Green Bay, they giving them $4 and they can.
Yeah, and then even like when games when they have it below like a certain degree, they give out free coffee and hot chocolate.
I need more than that.
I mean, but it's the thought.
Yeah, I know, and that's what I'm saying. And you would never do that at FedEx.
Yeah.
FedEx.
Well, you paying $12 for a beer, so.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And then even with that, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a nice little package deal to go with what you're buying.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like with the team, they only have one player that on their roster that wasn't originally drafted by the Packers, and that's Julius Peppers.
Yeah. University of North Carolina. I gotta do that.
Yeah, I understand.
But we definitely gotta do a lot of UNC shout outs in our NFC and AFC North previews.
Okay.
So there's a lot of UNC standouts. We'll get to that later in the show. Now we want to transition Philly. In your neck of the woods where Brandon Boykin was actually traded on the first day of training camp.
Yeah, it was before practice ever started.
Yeah.
So it was the day they reported.
Yeah. So he was traded to the Steelers on Saturday for a conditional first round pick in the 2016 NFL draft.
It's conditional fifth round.
Fifth round.
It could go up to a fourth if he plays at least 60% of the snaps.
It's conditional pick. And the cornerback said that Chip Kelly is uncomfortable around grown men of our culture, end quote.
And the thing about it was, it's just like he piggybacked on the Sean McCoy, Deshaun Jackson, because here he says, because he backtracked.
Yeah.
Right after that, it was, oh no, it's just where there was an incident where he didn't speak to me in the hallway. I mean, this is your head coach. It's like if you work for a company and you see the CEO is going to go out of his way to speak to you. Yeah. He may or he may not. But you're talking about a complex coach that Chip Kelly is. Now, he always had the reputation of being a player-friendly coach. He has an open-door policy. He's not one of those authoritative coaches where, you do this because I said so. He tells you what he wants done. He gives reasons to support why he wants done. Yeah. The whole thing from the sleep mongers, because you're a professional athlete. You need your rest. You can't. You're a multi-millionaire athlete. If I'm in that position, I don't want my star player who's making $15, $20 million a year hanging out in the club till 3, 4 in the morning. Then guess what? I got a game the next day.
Oh, you talking about wide receiver that spends $5,000 a night?
I didn't say any names. Say any names.
And we're not doing anything, man. We're not name dropping.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
But he's not your kind of guy.
Yeah, I mean, talent alone is one thing, but dealing with other stuff, it's just it.
Yeah,
I agree with the culture that he's trying to set up. I do.
Yeah,
because you don't want people. Most of the time, athletes already think they're above the law, and then you got a guy who's trying to bring back the discipline that those coaches had. Like, can you imagine Vince Lombardi in today's football game?
He would be like reprimanded. Like he would be like the worst coach ever. As far as how the players would view him, And I always get flack when it comes to these type of situations, because I remember like the whole Steve Smith thing, and I told him like, look, I mean, this happens every day. Like, I mean, everybody was all on me. It was like, well, why, why you feel this way? He should feel a certain way because he got released. I mean, yeah, you should feel a certain kind of way, but at the end of the day, it's not like you're gonna get cut here and then tomorrow you're gonna be homeless and you're gonna be living underneath a bridge.
And that with Steve Smith, he was a 35-year-old receiver.
Exactly.
They wanted to go in a different direction. You can't blame a franchise for that.
And that's what I'm saying. And as far as and everybody was trying to say, well, they got this, and that's what the whole thing. And it's funny. It brings it back to the whole point because everybody was on my tail about the situation with Steve Smith. Like, well, you had him, but then you still had Greg Hardy on the team. Folks, NFL is not about a personality or who get along. It's like you cannot win football games with choir boys. And to me, I just feel as though that people don't. It's a business decision. Yeah. Like Greg Hardy has talent. That's why people stay in this league due to the fact that they have talent. It is a talent-driven business. You win and lose games. That's how you get fired.
But I don't look at Greg Hardy as a talented player. I think Greg Hardy is a consolation prize of being in a good scheme.
Yeah,
because you looked at that. If you look at that Carolina team, they have 3 first-rounders on their defensive line. Yeah. Here he is, the solely 6th-round guy. Yeah. Who replaced Julius Peppers. And then, he was way after Peppers.
It was Charles.
Because Charles Johnson is on the other side.
Yeah, Charles
Johnson, he demands. Greg Hardy's going up against right tackle. Yeah. Those aren't your premier pass rushers.
And even with that. Like people, and that's what my thing was. He had enough talent at the time to stay on the team before he got an exemplar. Yeah. So I'm not, that's my thing was. That situation is different versus in this situation on this thing. And people say, well, you getting rid of a guy like Deshaun Jackson, getting rid of Shady, Brandon Boykin, and then people say, well, you kept Riley Cooper. And then people even talking about the whole Jeremy Maclin thing too. But I'm like, Jeremy Maclin left on his own accord.
And the thing about it was, all right, this is where I come from in defending Chip Kelly. First of all, I'm going to be an Eagle fan to the day that I die. So I could care less about the names on the back. It's about the logo, who I stand for, and that's a good plug right there. So, but ultimately, these guys are Andy Reid's guys. Yeah. Those were players that Chip Kelly inherited. So he owes no loyalty to them. If he feels that they don't fit what he wants to do, then they're gone. It's just the fact that he didn't gut the team out when he first got there because Chip Kelly wants to win. He's not like one of those coaches that as soon as they get there, okay, all right, we're going to clear out all the lockers. We're going to start from scratch. He didn't have time to do that. Yeah. He knew he saw what he had and what he wanted to work with. Players that fit the scheme, they tried it. If it didn't work, they were gone. It's just like everyone thought Michael Vick would be the perfect fit for his system. Unfortunately, Mike Vick got hurt that first year, and it was just downhill from there. And that's not to say that Mike Vick was bad for him. It was just unforeseen circumstances.
It just didn't work out.
And then Nick Foles came in and played lights out. So it wasn't... Yeah.
Napoleon Dynamite. I'm sorry.
I mean, and he caught the lightning in the bottle that one year. Yeah. So... The thing with Brandon Boykin getting traded, I saw it coming. Yeah. And it's not to say he's a 5'9" corner. Yeah, he can jump out of the gym, but to take that kind of skill set, like when are you really gonna win a jump ball? You have to stop and reset and plant your feet and do all of that. That's only gonna work for you in goal line or short down situations. So to trade him now and get value for that pick because he was leaving in the offseason anyway because he wants the chance to start on the outside. Chip Kelly and Billy Davis, their philosophy is they want bigger corners. They want at least 5'11" to 6'3" corners. That's what they want on the outside. Brandon Boykin is not going to be any taller.
He's not going to fit that
So it's just get something for him now while you can.
And that's one thing. Like, and everybody's saying, well, you're looking at from the standpoint of you hearing whispers and stuff. I'm just like, look, people are always gonna say when something bad happens. Yeah. It's like I always say, it's kind of relatable to like relationships. I mean, once upon a time you like that individual, but then you don't like that person, but then you're always gonna say something negative about that person. Yeah. And that's just how the nature evolved. And then everybody now is like, well, if Brandon Boykin saying something, Shady saying something, Deshaun saying something, then Trey Thomas said something, which I'm like, of course we all are gonna feel a certain kind of way when something instantly happens like that. Like, I mean, if that's like, yeah.
The thing was, it's the one thing that those four people have in common, that they are no longer with the team.
Exactly. And
so if you feel he's that way, say that while you're employed with the team. Don't wait till your exit interview and now you want to, because he cut Evan Mathis. Who Evan Mathis came up publicly, I was coming to training camp, I just didn't want to participate in the mandatory mini camps.
But he could have said something. I mean, in this organization, it's not one of those things where, I mean, because to me, how it's portrayed and how it's written and how it's kind of spin is almost, I feel as though it's like he had a bunch of guys, like, you know, the black guys sit on the back of the bus. So, you know, like, almost like there's a racial undertone. But this is like, even how Brandon Boykin said this, now, he's uncomfortable around grown men of our culture. What do you mean as far as culture? Like, the type of culture that we said, like the guys who, like we said, not the people who don't follow Chip Kelly's rules. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. That's what
grown men of culture. I mean, like, because now, and I think that's the coward's way out to pull the race card. I don't like it at all, because, you know, Chip Kelly, when he was in Oregon, he's recruiting players from South Central LA.
And that's all it was like. If he can go in these homes in South Central LA, he is not racist.
Yeah, not at all. You don't see him he's not in Fresno, California, or Malibu getting football players. Chip Kelly just wants football players. He
getting Ricky. Yeah. He getting Ricky's. You know, no dope boys.
Yeah, because DeAnthony Thomas, South Central LA. He played with.
Yeah, he was with
Snoop. Yeah.
Snoop. Yeah. Speaking of Snoop, I know we getting off the cusp. But, yo, how I found some episodes. Remember Doggy Fizzle?
Wow.
Yo, they're on YouTube.
Wow.
Oh, my God, yo. I was like, man, take me back to being like 19 or 20 years old, man. That was some good old days. So now we do a brief transition now to the NBA. As we discussed yesterday, James Harden has been offered a 13-year, $200 million shoe deal with Adidas. Looks like Harden, he signed with Nike, but of course the deal has expired. Adidas now has D Rose, which I didn't know initially he signed a 14-year deal. Yeah. They got Damian Lillard, John Wall, and actually Adidas at this point is the third best-selling apparel in the United States. Nike, of course, is number one, and Under Armour is number two, which. Starting to come, shout out to Steph Curry and the kids at Under Armour.
The thing with the deal, I don't see the problem with the money wise, because that's your money to offer what you want to offer. Mm-hmm. But a couple years back when Dwight Howard was being courted, they kind of put a block on him from going to Chicago because of so much money that they had going to D Rose, because they said they wanted to expand their market. They didn't want to have two of their marquee superstars in the same area. But now, you know, what does this do with Houston? Because
and then even with that, I mean, that's stupid, because it ain't like it's Portland. Yeah. Like, it ain't like you got two guys in the Pacific Northwest. Yeah. I mean, you're in the third biggest market in the United States, and you got two of the biggest stars. You got your two biggest stars, and they play in the third market. Like, you know, that's crazy.
But it's just like, so what are you doing? Because ultimately, you know, that deterred Dwight Howard from going to Chicago because of that for that deal with Adidas. So it's like now, because I believe Dwight Howard could have maxed out in Chicago $130 million. So, you know, you essentially stopped his money from going to Chicago by doing that. So now, like, are you going to block James Harden? No, you're not. Are you going to let Dwight Howard go to Nike? Like, what do you do at this point? Because, you know, you jumped in and intervened in that situation. And then, you know, with James Harden, I mean, he didn't have a signature shoe with Nike. So now does Nike come back and counter offer?
Yeah, which almost like what they did with Kevin Durant last year. Okay. When you think about Kevin Durant was about to sign with Under Armour. And that's when I thought, like, oh, he's gone. Like, he's gone. Like, I was like, he might as well, he coming back like LeBron. Yeah. But, you know, and to me, I look at it from the standpoint of just when you look at the athletes, I'm not going to say anything because you're gonna laugh. You're gonna make fun of my franchise quarterback. Well, the remnants of my franchise quarterbacks. Okay. So you're looking at him, and you're looking at D Rose, and you're looking at most of these guys. The only one who's been relatively healthy is Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
And that's for now.
Yeah. And because that's going to change, because without LaMarcus Aldridge being there, he really has to shoulder the load.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. This brand has a reputation of. I'm not trying to say that they are the reasons as why these guys get hurt, but like Mars Blackman said, it must be the shoes.
Yeah, because you look at a lot of athletes who switched. Kevin Garnett didn't have a lot of injuries until he switched to Adidas.
Yeah.
Then you've got Chauncey Billups towards Achilles wearing Adidas. And I don't want to drop a bad plug with Adidas here, but it is because I think their shoes are too lightweight. That's the one knock that they said that the Derrick Rose shoe had, was that it was too lightweight.
Yeah, which, like you said, you want to have something that lightweight, and you think you can float and then get hurt on a non-contact situation, and then you dating Khloe Kardashian too.
Yeah.
Hey, I would stay away. I mean, you got a lot of stuff. You got a lot of stuff.
Shout out to Khloe on the cover of Women's Fitness.
Yeah.
So hey.
Yeah. So shout out to the Kardashians and the Jenners. But
what's next?
Yeah. Cause we can talk about that next week. We'll talk about that next week.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so I don't. My thing about that situation is I think he. It's tough, and I think this is one of those things where it could be a game changer for Adidas. Like this is pretty much can put them kind of back
because they don't have the elite superstar in their brand.
Yeah,
it's Derrick Rose was on the way of becoming that, and then the injuries kind of derailed that somewhat. Yeah. Then Dwight Howard, he caught the flack for being soft.
Yeah, so his popularity.
Yeah, so it's just James Harden. I think he's on the cusp of being one of those
elite.
Yeah, but I think the elite company like the Nike, because Nike holds the elite players.
Yeah, and that's one thing. And then when the Nike transitions to uniforms and all NBA apparel, where's they gonna leave you in 2 years?
Yeah.
Because Nike, like we said, that was the ultimate power move 2015. Like, if we want to look, we're looking now with 8 months in the year, that's probably one of the biggest moves.
Yeah. Because,
they pretty much sold up the number one ranking. I know Under Armour's coming, but if you got apparel in the league, you got in various leagues, where I even think didn't Michigan go back to Nike?
I think so.
Michigan went back to Nike. A lot of it's a lot of stuff going on at Nike. Like we said, maybe I need to invest and get some more stock. Get some stock in there. That's what I need to be doing.
Okay.
I need to be doing that. So, I guess we're gonna start our first round of NFL previews. Well, we're gonna do the AFC North, which in the notes I totally forgot about. I don't know why I thought the Ravens won the North, but it was actually the Pittsburgh Steelers. That won. So, so we do this kind of in a reverse sort.
Okay.
So question number 1 is, can the Steelers take the next step to become Super Bowl contenders? Which we're looking at, last year they were 11-5. They did win the division. Big Ben had a pretty good year, for almost 5,000 yards last season. 32 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. They had Le'Veon Bell as well at the running back position. 1,300 yards last season. And then y'all got Antonio Brown. I'm just like, look, I like Antonio Brown. Don't get me wrong. He's a good. But a guy, I ran into a guy last week. He was talking about Pittsburgh got one of the best receiving corps in the league, and I'm like, one person don't make that.
See the thing about when people throw that misconception out there, because this one team it's like if you throw the ball more, guess what? You're gonna have more receptions.
Exactly.
When you have a quarterback who just sits there and just throws the ball, it went from, you know how Pittsburgh used to be a ground and pound.
Ground and pound,
that's what they were known
defensive
for.
juggernaut type of franchise, and you never had that type of situation. Now we're moving in this new age
because of the fact was that they had to pay Ben Roethlisberger, so they had to transition from being that running team into cater into more. We're gonna pay this quarterback $20 million. We need to pay him. He needs to do what you pay $20 million quarterbacks to do.
Thank you.
That's why
they have what is called this so-called offensive juggernaut at this stage in the early going. I'm like that offensive line. You're looking at guys like Marquise Pouncey, David DeCastro. He'll be healthy this year. Coming off that injury last season. The defense is gonna be a little different. Got a couple interchangeable parts. Troy's not there no more. Troy Polamalu or Ike Taylor.
And I think that's going to be the downfall of that team.
Yeah, that secondary, which...
Now you got Brandon Boykin, but,
Yeah, you got Brandon Boykin and then your boy William Gay.
Yeah. Was it Randall Gay?
Uh-huh.
William Gay.
William Gay. Yeah, William Gay.
But, and I catch a lot of flack from this a lot of time.
Yeah.
I thought Mike Tomlin is overrated as a coach. Now, mind you, he has won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And he has taken them to another Super Bowl. But the fact of the matter is what I say that is when he was winning in those bigger games, that was still Bill Cowher's team. So by the time that roster filtered out, he kept several players. But by the time that became his roster, you saw the mediocre finishes, the 8-8s, the 10-6s. Like you saw, that's what he is. And it's because Mike Tomlin doesn't have... I don't say that one specific background as a coach.
Yeah. He
came up in the ranks as a position coach, then as a special teams coach. Now he's a head coach. Yeah. Now I get his personality is what allows him to be the head coach. But he doesn't have one thing to hang his hat on. Like when you have, your Chip Kellys and your Jay Grudens, they're offensive minded coaches.
Yeah.
So when in doubt, that's where their strength is.
That's where their bread is buttered.
Yeah, and you look at what happens with Pittsburgh. He's had a lot of successful head coaches turn coordinators, where he's went through the Ken Wisenhunts, the Bruce Arians, the Todd Haley. Like these guys have a resume, so they're not just cream of the crop. This just came off the street. Yeah. These guys have put out product after product each year on the field. So. Yes, he found the reap of those successes, but it's like, okay, what happens when those guys leave again? So what do you do now?
Exactly, and speaking of that, I'm glad you brought that up as far as the previous coordinators. Now, Dick LeBeau's gone.
Yeah,
he went to Tennessee.
So I think. And what you thought of what the Pittsburgh defense is like now, what do they do? Because I've seen this happen with my team when the late, great Jim Johnson died and Sean McDermott became the defensive coordinator who was his understudy. So we thought that he was just going to pick up right where he left off. But with a new man, new brain, new concepts come. And Sean McDermott trying to do things that were unheralded in football. Like I would see him drop defensive ends in coverage, and no.
And for the sake of the argument, they employed a former Springer legend in that defensive fold at the time, Mr. Harris.
Okay.
But, I mean, hey, and I felt really. I was like, why are they putting him in this position? I remember we was at the barbershop and it was like, why y'all doing this to me, man? Like, yo, y'all setting our boy up. But anyway, now my thing about Pittsburgh now, we talked definitely during the whole preview. They have these schedules. They're like murder row for them, and that's why I'm maybe tipping my hand for the night. But whoever survives this onslaught of the AFC North, they might have a ticket to Santa Clara.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're just gonna. Yeah. To me, the AFC North is they're merging into what the NFC East rivalry will be.
Yeah.
Where you would beat up on each other during the regular season, and then that winner would limp into the playoffs, and Either you catch fire in the bottle or you're going home because you've killed yourself trying to win that division that now you can't stand in the playoffs.
Can't win. And and you looking at Pittsburgh, which they're lucky they have a week 11 bye, so they have a bye pretty much at the end of November, right before Thanksgiving. Okay, so after the bye week, at Seattle, Indy at home, at Cincinnati, Denver at home, at Baltimore, and at Cleveland. Which, and like I'm saying, and even with this, you're looking at some, these are some teams that, you're going to be jockeying for playoff position. Yeah. So to me, it's one of the things where, especially even in your own conference, when you're looking at, because I still think.
Looking at that schedule, they're going to limp into the bye week. Like, to open up the season against New England, even though Tom Brady might not play, just the emotion of that game.
Is, and, that's what I'm saying, even with that, like, the emotion alone can carry the Patriots in that opening game.
And then they got what?
They got
San Diego, Arizona, Kansas City. Like, these are not games that you can just
gimmies. Yeah, they're not gimmies, and and that's one thing with them. And we'll definitely talk about it with the Ravens coming up, of how they got to play the AFC West as well as the NFC West. So, some of these teams will be going to West Coast a couple times, and I guess now we'll do a transition. Now we go from Pittsburgh to Baltimore, where now can the Ravens become AFC North champs? Which, you're looking at it from the standpoint of this Ravens team kind of it has a 2012 feel for me. I don't know if you know how sometimes you wake up with premonitions, you wake up with some type of like a certain inkling about a certain team, whatever. This team it has a lot of 2012 in them. In my eye. You look at, of course.
To me, I don't see it until they can establish that dominant running game that they had. Yeah. You saw in the last couple of years, Ray Rice's numbers dipped dramatically each year. Mm-hmm. And it was... who took over as the offensive coordinator?
It's Mark Trestman from the Bears.
Okay.
He's
so
the
when
now.
Jim Caldwell was running the offense, you saw like when he started to get back in there, like, look, we need to run the football, and you saw how successful that was for them in 2012. So between Bernard Pierce and Lorenzo Taliaferro, I don't see that 1,000-yard you have to game plan around the run. Now,
you still got Justin Forsett now.
Yeah, okay. So it could be the running back by committee that they have to deal with, but when you have that kind of a three-headed monster, I don't like it because it doesn't get into it's almost like the Saints of the earlier part of the Sean Payton era.
Oh, you talking about with Reggie Bush, Deuce McAllister,
Mike Bell.
And Mike Bell.
It worked to a certain degree, but it just in that division you need to run the football, and with that team the way it's comprised of, I don't see them as like a dominant force as far as running the football. Now on the defensive side of the ball, Baltimore is known for their defense. So, can they still sustain with Terrell Suggs and Elvis Dumerville coming off the edge?
Yeah, and I still think they got some young pieces in there in the fold. When you're looking at, let's see.
And so they got rid of Haloti Ngata too. So
RG3 killer.
Shanahan's RG3 killer, but that's a different story.
And then I like I said, the younger group coming in, like. You're looking at like a Timmy Jernigan from Florida State University. And I think they're starting to kind of get back to that Ravens of old. I'm a fan of their defensive backfield. When you're looking at guys like Ladarius Webb, I think he's solid. Jimmy Smith, Matt Elam, and Will Hill as well.
Okay.
And
the problem I do have with Baltimore is because they pencil Mark Trestman is supposed to be this offensive guru, and I didn't see that in Chicago.
He had Jay Cutler though.
But still, he just had. Jay Cutler and Joe Flacco.
No, don't do that.
But Jay Cutler was known for being a gunslinger, and Flacco has one of the strongest arms in football.
Yeah.
But Trestman put a restraint on Jay Cutler.
Yeah.
And you saw how that hindered him. Now will he do the same thing to Flacco?
Yeah, exactly. And that's my thing. And even when we look at Flacco, like as far as the loss of Torrey Smith, which
they replaced it with Sean Berryman.
Yeah, from UFC.
UCF.
The UFC. UCF.
And then you still got Steve Smith. So I mean, they have that vertical threat there.
They do, yeah.
It's just you didn't see that what Trestman was supposed to bring to that table.
And when you're looking at, like you're saying, like you had Cutler. You had Jeffers on one side, and you had Brandon Marshall on one side.
And he didn't utilize what he had. Now, you're taking a step back. That you're not going to have that kind of same receiving core. Yeah. Nor you don't have the same safety valve that you had at Matt Forte.
Yeah.
So, I don't see this team. They're going to be contenders within their division. But as far as a deep playoff run, I don't see it.
Yeah. And like I said, their schedule is even kind of crazier, too, because you're looking at you have... Pretty much you go to Cleveland on November 30th, at Miami, which I still think Miami is going to contend for the AFC East, which we'll actually do our AFC and NFC East preview 2 weeks from tonight on August the 18th. That'll be very, very interesting. Well, how we will, bring that division.
From the looking of it, looks like they play the AFC West and the NFC West.
Yeah, everybody, this whole division. So that's what and I think they have a back-to-back, because now, this is crazy with Baltimore. They're like, wow. Look, this is crazy. Between week 7, they got 4 West Coast games. Yeah. I mean, you got at Denver, at Oakland, and then at San Francisco, at Arizona, which none of these are cakewalks. Yeah. I mean, Oakland to an extent, but even there, And that's like, and even going to San Francisco. He was, I still,
because when you look at that week 3 to week 5 after the Oakland, it's 3 straight division games.
Yeah, which and
so the Oakland game could be a trap game for them.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It can be a trap game from that type of standpoint. And even with that, there's really no gimmicks even after the bye week. I mean, you might have Jacksonville, which, okay, yeah. I mean, I mean, who knows? Who knows? Yeah. Maybe Rashard teammate he'll catch lightning in a bottle this year. Yeah. Blake Bortles and the Jacksonville Jaguars. It might, but anyway. Got St. Louis, which is no walk in the park.
Yeah.
Cleveland,
Shout out to the Redskins for building that team.
Anyway. Like we said, we at Cleveland, then at Miami. Then you got Seattle, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, and then round out at Cincinnati for week 17. And like I said, this whole stretch of December, like Miami's going to compete. Seattle's there. Kansas City definitely going to compete as well. And Pittsburgh, of course, they're going to,
so they close their schedule out with
the Bengals. Yeah. With the Bengals, which could be a which could definitely
that could hold the division in there.
So now, that was actually a great transition. We'll go now talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. Now their biggest question mark is the Bengals window closing? Last year they were 10-5-1. Andy Dalton, he's still the helm at the quarterback position. Almost had 4,000 yards last season, 19 touchdowns, 17 picks. They have a two-headed running back attack, which mainly is Jeremy Hill, but I had to shout out to my guy Giovanni Bernard from the University of North Carolina. And receiving core as well, led by A.J. Green, a.k.a. Adriel Jeremiah Green, Mohamed Sanu, and also Marvin Jones as well.
Okay.
Offense, they just gonna have the same Bengals that we're accustomed to the last 3 to 4 years, where they gonna get the points on the board. And
the thing with that team, it looked. You saw once Jay Gruden left, their offense looked a mess.
Yeah, big time. It's almost like Andy Dalton kind of regressed.
Yeah, he did, and I think because Jay Gruden developed that team to be an aerial attack. Yeah. Now, mind you, A.J. Green did get hurt, and that kind of set the offense back a bit.
Big time.
But they constructed the team because with the addition of Giovanni Bernard, he was the pass catching out of the backfield. Yeah. And, here comes Jeremy Hill, the guy who stole the ground game.
Who's getting the ground. Yeah.
So, with that team, I ultimately think the window is closed because Marvin Lewis, I mean, how many second chances do you give this guy? And then they just extended his contract again.
Which I'm just like, and that's why, and it just shows you how that franchise different from most franchises in this league. A lot of people aren't gonna put up with these 10-5, 10-6, and 9-7 finishes. Then you're losing a wild card every year.
Every year.
The teams like you lost to Houston twice.
Yeah, with a backup team.
Yeah. Matter of fact,
TJ Yates won that game.
University of North Carolina set you up. Set you up for that trap.
He did.
But yeah, actually, shout out to him. He's actually, I think he's in Carolina. No, he's somewhere.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely talk about him, and I think
Yeah.
he would do. No, that's Brentwood. That's it. Buffalo. No, but anyway.
But yeah, it's just that I don't get how many times. I mean, the Brown family. Hey, if you like what you have, then fine.
And that's my thing. Like most time when you look at from that situation, most time guys have been fired 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, 9 times out of 10, and even because when you look at it, it's almost like when you lose in the first round like they have, it's almost like you didn't even be in the playoffs. You weren't even in the playoffs.
It's like because you look at the way that Marty Schottenheimer did when he was running the Chargers years ago. They fired him after a 14-2 season.
Yeah. Poor Marty.
Yeah, he 14-2.
Actually, to be honest with you, Marty shouldn't have even been in San Diego. He should have been still in Washington. What? I mean, he should have because we were 0-5, and then he rallied the troops, and we ended up being 8-8 that year. And he shouldn't have got fired. Right. But anyway, now and even if you look at the defense, which, like you said, and like you said, that's another one where it was kind of like once Mike Zimmer left, there was a considerable drop off. Yeah. Which is, when you...
And the thing about it, Marvin Lewis's forte is defense. So...
The former Washington Redskins defensive coordinator.
No, everybody knows him from the 2000 Ravens. Don't do that. Don't do that.
He was once our defensive coordinator.
Yeah, and you saw how that turned out.
Hey.
But
I can't help it.
It's like they had the highest paid defensive line in all of football.
Yeah.
With Geno Atkins,
Devontae, and then let's see who
Michael
else.
Johnson.
Michael
Johnson went back.
Johnson.
He went back. Carlos Dunlap. You got Brandon Thompson. We said Geno already, right? Michael Johnson. And then you got Marcus Hunt. Okay. And see, then that linebacker core is just...
Which, that... And like you said, it's the complex 4-3. And you're looking at your boy Ray Montaluga and A.J. Hawk and Paul Dawson.
Don't forget Montez Burfict.
Yeah, Montez Burfict.
And it's just... It's just something about that team.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just... Do you, like... And it's funny because it seems like every year I get to this point where it's like, okay... Is this gonna be is this gonna be the year that they're gonna actually take that step and actually win a playoff
Just win a game. That's all you want.
Versus now, it's hard to say that now because everything else in this division has got to a point. Pittsburgh is bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't envision them being another 8-8 team and having another down year in quite some time.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at the Ravens, which I think, in my personal opinion, is definitely on a somewhat of a come up. And Cincinnati's not, the flavor of the month anymore.
Yeah.
They're not the darlings of the NFL anymore. Where people, because every year we always had the same rhetoric. It's like, well, is Cincinnati gonna go? And now you gotta think to yourself, if you're saying it's 4 or 5 years down the line, and most times you don't have that much time to turn that around like that. I mean, not to turn around, but to keep having the same narrative. So, I mean, that's the biggest question mark for the Cincinnati Bengals. And question number 4, we're going to transition now. We're going to go to Cleveland. When will the Johnny football era begin?
Unless he goes back to Texas A&M.
Wow. I mean, and you looking
I don't see him as a professional quarterback.
I
think he's a joke when it comes to how that team is. It's a joke. They really think that Sandlot style of football is going to
work.
Yeah, he's not Doug Flutie. There's no Flutie magic coming out of Johnny
2015. 2015. That's What the young kid say? That's dead.
That's dead. I mean, just looking at the team, Josh McCown.
Shout out to Josh McCown looking like Avin Drago.
I mean, and then the thing with the Josh Gordon situation really hurt them.
I think, yeah, and that was demoralizing. And then for you to hear about that the week before the Super Bowl, which is like, I mean, my goodness, like and that's just when you hear news like that, when you already had a season where it was 6-3.
Yeah.
I mean, you were going into the mid-season, and everybody was like,
and I think
Cleveland's going to be
the coaching staff panicked because there was no reason why you should have pulled Brian Hoyer out.
Exactly. And my thing is this: even if he didn't stay, let him at least to a point where let him prove himself.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and I don't even care if you had a plan in place if you didn't want to keep him. I just want to have something on tape or something to show me that this guy can take a team to the playoffs.
Yeah. Because it's like ultimately what happened was with Brian Hoyer, he got put in the same situation with Kyle Orton when he was in Denver with Tebow.
Yep.
As you had this hot shot college QB that everybody wanted to see. They wanted to see how he's going to be in the professional game. At 6-3, I honestly thought the Cleveland was going to go into the playoffs.
And I thought so too. And I really thought that they could.
Because when you look at their secondary,
yes,
that
Hayden, and then they
even Justin Gilbert he got benched halfway through the season.
Yeah,
but
and then you add a guy in Tramon Williams.
Yeah, and then you still have Dante Whitner and Gibson.
Yeah.
So the secondary is nothing to laugh at. Then with the linebackers, they got Paul Kruger, Barcavius Mingo,
yeah.
DeQuell Jackson, is he still there?
DeQuell Jackson, no.
Okay.
And I mean, like you're saying, like you're looking at
they got Carlos Dansby.
Okay. Yeah, they got Carlos Dansby.
So I mean, it's like the defense has the pieces in place to be successful. It's the offense can't match up, and losing Josh Gordon, I think that hindered what they wanted to do from a football standpoint. Because Dwayne Bowe is effective, but he's not the guy that you're going to scheme around anymore.
And then you got Terrell Pryor.
Yeah. Forgot all about him.
Yeah, he'll be playing a little wide receiver this season.
Yeah, so.
And then, I don't know, man. It's just,
It's like Cleveland, the Browns,
it's depressing.
You see them getting close, and then all of a sudden they just fall apart.
And that's like you're saying, like the whole 6-3, as they beat Cincinnati was like November the 3rd. I remember it was on Thursday night. It was a Thursday night game, and I don't know what day it was. In November, it was right after week 10 or week whatever week it was. But anyway, 6-3. They on their way.
Yeah.
It's like 6-3. Okay, they on their way. They have a great formula. They have a great offensive mastermind at the current time, Mr. Kyle Shanahan himself. Like, man, hey, I like Cal, man. I don't care what nobody says.
He's in Atlanta now, right?
I know he's in Atlanta. Yeah, I think and we'll talk about the North. Actually, we'll talk about that situation with the South. We'll talk about that in a few more weeks.
Okay.
And I like what Atlanta, what he can do. Now he actually got a franchise quarterback. It's gonna be one of those situations where I think this is gonna be we're gonna really see what he's really all about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very fond of Kyle Shanahan.
I can tell.
Yeah, I mean, hey.
Did you make him your MCM?
No, ain't nothing like that. No.
Okay.
No, it ain't that type of affair, bro. It's from a football acronym. So question number 5. How would they finish? So we're going to predict the record for the Ravens, Steelers, Bengals, and the Browns. And at this stage, we don't have to do, if you as far as nobody has to be your wild card yet. We'll do that actually on our September the 1st edition of Couch Coach Live. So
take it away. I'll let you go first.
Steelers winning the division at 11-5. I got the Ravens at 9-7. I got the Bengals at 8-8, and I got the Cleveland Browns at 5-11.
I'll go Pittsburgh 10-6.
10-6.
Baltimore 9-7.
Okay.
Cincinnati 9-7.
Okay.
And I'll go Cleveland 5-11. Yeah.
All right. Let's have those picks. All right. So we got the AFC North taken care of so far. We're gonna make a swift transition. We gotta go into our reserves. Shout out to your catch Woman Crush Wednesday since you want to do these little MCMs and little jabs. Ronda Rousey took care of business in UFC 190 last week. She beat the bantamweight champion, defeated Beth Korea in 34 seconds. And this one thing, this whole Ronda Rousey thing, I think a lot of people, even though I'm not a UFC guy, but a lot of people was just like, could she fight a man? And I'm like,
nah, just don't. Now you're thinking outside.
And that's not, and this is my thing with the whole situation. We are to a point where we're becoming prisoners of the moment, and it's really, really tragic.
Yeah.
When you think just because she beat up a girl in 34 seconds, that girl shouldn't even been in the ring.
Yeah.
This was without, like my cousin. Shout out my cousin. We talked about it on Facebook. This is the Ronda Rousey supposed to win fight.
Yeah.
This was like one of those things where it wasn't like a climax. This is not like we all knew this was gonna happen, but then for people to come on social media on Sunday, talking about, I wonder how she'll stack up against a man.
Yeah, and people start outthinking themselves when they start doing that. We see that one college team that just dominates on, can they beat a pro team? I'm like, no, just don't do it. Because at that point you're talking about men playing against boys. And the thing with Ronda Rousey is she's dominating her weight class, so she's supposed to do that. Now they want her to move up to the 145, and how can she handle the weight gain? That'll be the test to see how dominant she really is in that sport. So.
Yeah, and if she put on some pounds, and see how that will work.
Yeah.
She'll probably be on some ground and pound type of stuff.
Yeah.
Where it's just like she ain't gonna just be doing those finesse type of situations. I mean, that's one thing that's like, that's not gonna happen. I'm gonna tell you that like right now. Like, if you think if she can beat a man, then more power to her. But that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you're saying when people say Kentucky beat Philadelphia.
Picking up team, but
okay.
Could they beat the Knicks? Yeah, something like that.
Well, yeah.
The Timberwolves. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah.
Well, now Timberwolves got a bunch of college players themselves.
Yeah,
so I mean, pretty much. Because the Knicks are, the Timberwolves be the best team in college basketball. Also, in the NFL, we got Ace Sanders was suspended for 10 games. The former UFC of the South Star, as people would say, University of South Carolina, and former Jacksonville Jaguars wide receiver. Now, he was suspended for 10 games. Now, this is due to another failed drug test. Right. Now, as we all know, last year he was suspended for the first 4 games of the 2014 season due to the abuse in the league substance abuse policy. Now, we got stats like this. Stay away from it. Now, so last year in the brief time he played, he had 6 catches for 55 yards, and in his career he had 57 catches for 539 yards and 1 TD. He's been in the league since 2013, and this is. And I bring this up because this is like a cautionary tale for any young athletes that are going on. He got suspended for 10 games, but guess what? He's not going to be in the NFL. Yeah. I tell you that right now. Like,
10 games.
That's a formality.
Yeah, unless you're a marquee player. Like, Josh Gordon put up those kind of numbers. You could suspend him because he just came off like a 1,500-yard season.
Yeah, because he led the league. And that's so funny because I remember we did a preview, and I think it was just maybe 2 years ago. And
he was suspended for 4 games and still led the league in receptions.
Yeah, and that's what I told me. And it was so funny because I wish I would have had it as a trivia question because everybody was like, "No, Josh Gordon didn't leave." I was like, "Yes, he did." Like, look it up
because that was the one who got him started.
You already know. Shout out to Jason Campbell, man. So also, this might rub your feathers a little bit. So Jamal Chiefs running back and may possibly be the number 1 pick in many fantasy football drafts this coming year, possibly. I've seen some publications that say he could be, let's say possible. Okay. But so he considered himself as the LeBron James of football because at his position, because I can do so much. Now Charles to justify that statement, Charles was responsible for 27.8 of the Chiefs' yards last season, while LeBron James assisted or scored in 40.9% of the plays for the Cleveland Cavaliers last season.
Now, with Jamal Charles doing that, I think that's a stupid statement because
it's not true.
Yeah, you're the only person that team has. I mean,
yeah.
For your quarterback to not throw the ball 20 yards downfield.
Because Kansas City was the team, I think they went like 6 or 7 games without a receiving touchdown, won't it?
They went the entire season without their wide receivers catching a touchdown.
That's right. I knew it was like it was one of those stats that was just like
the only team the team that gave up a lowly win to the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah. Shout out to David Carr. Shout out to them boys down in Oakland. No, they can get it together. Or was it? No, it's the other Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Derek Carr, yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking too. Like that's right. He don't play for the team.
But it's just it's like Andy Reid now. He finally clicked the light switch and tells him to give the ball to the running back.
Man, leave your boy alone.
I can't do it.
Come on, man.
I've suffered enough of this in the past years where he just wouldn't give the ball to a running back. So now he finally has a running back that he gives the ball to. But that's the only thing you have.
Yeah, and that's my thing. And that's my thing about the whole situation with him saying that. It's just like, what's the point? Like,
yeah.
But you're not the LeBron James of this team. Like, and I'm just like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, but like like we were saying, I mean, why? Why would you even say that? It's just ridiculous.
Because LeBron don't win unless he jump ship and go to the better team. So
Jamal Charles
is that Jamal Charles something he gonna do? He gonna jump ship and go to another? He gonna take a pay cut and go to somebody else's team?
Yeah, possibly. And he gonna be the highest paid player, and he's gonna be like, you know what? I want somebody else to get paid first, and then we're gonna work on our deal. But hey, he can wait till the new league CBA to make some moves. And also some other NFL news and notes. Which I don't understand. This is crazy. Pro Bowl receiver Dez Bryant and cornerback Tyler Patman squared off on Sunday. The former OSU players were involved in a fight during team drills. Actually, the last play of team drills on Sundays. And it's funny because, and that's why that's why I like going on social media, because to me I feel as though I go in as very quiet. And I just hear what people have to say. People saying what Dez Bryant did was wrong and it's inexcusable. But I think to myself, every year I've done radio, I've always talked about a training camp fight. There's always going to be a training camp fight. I love training camp fights.
I think the problem they had with the Dez Bryant situation was because in actuality that altercation happened way later than when they were on the field. It happened 15 minutes after and then he came and took a swing at him. So, I mean, it just got publicized because it's Dez Bryant.
It's Dez Bryant, and everything that Dez Bryant do, wrongfully or right, he's always, that time. I like training camp fights. I've seen the training camp fight live. I've seen
playing football. I've been involved in those kind of stuff.
And you don't have that because when you're in a hot summer sun, you don't feel like doing this, and then you hitting the same people every day.
And the thing about it is, I do think that some of the veteran players who get into those scuffles overreact because they're not in that same position. Dez is not in that same position that Tyler Patman is. Like, I didn't know who he was until he got hit by Dez. So you got this guy. He's trying to make a name for himself. He's going to be scrappy. He's going to do whatever he can to make sure that he can take care of his family. Yeah. So you can't get mad at him for putting on that kind of extra energy. Yeah. So for Dez to do that, I mean, that's why I see the problem at. You got to understand where that guy's coming from. Yeah. If Dez was an undrafted wide receiver, doing extra shots at him, then you can't get mad at him.
Yeah, and like you said, now I'm glad you brought that point up because I never seen like such a disparity as far as league wise. Because you're looking at when I seen the fight, I seen D'Angelo Hall and Logan Paulson getting in a little scuffle, and I was like, ooh. I was like, Babs, let them fight. Shout out to Megan the Band. But yeah, like you saying, they're too different because at that time he was starting. I think that was right after Chris Cooley left.
Yeah.
So I mean, they were both like starters on the team, and then you kind of understand that. Versus you say in this case with a guy, second year guy, which I think he's gonna make the team, but he's not as heralded as you're looking at like Dez Bryant. It's not like Orlando Scandrick or something.
Yeah, so if you have two starters going at it, then Then you like, okay, what's going on with that? But then they brush those away. You don't let your stars fight each other. Yeah, you don't let your stars fight.
Yeah, you don't want them to, because he already fighting. He's already poor Orlando. He got some stuff going on himself too.
Dre's beating him.
Yeah.
But the game says you don't do that.
Shout out to Dre. I don't know, man. I might take that abuse. But speaking of,
he's already at Dallas Cowboys. How much abuse you really take?
Exactly. And also another round out this week's news and notes. Julian Gillette signed with the Washington Redskins. Now, former Saints defensive end Julian Gillette has signed with the Washington Redskins. Gillette was released last Monday, and he actually just recently signed a $41 million extension last September. So September 3rd of last year.
Because I know the Saints still owe him $17 million for the next 2 years.
Yeah. And also, Gillette is under investigation for a 2013 incident where a video claims to show Gillette striking a woman with a belt in the Miami Beach. Yeah. So, and he also signed a 1-year deal with the Redskins. I want you to go first.
I mean, the deal is only for $700,000, so I think the Redskins was like, just we'll see what we can get because the thing with the Redskins is like, okay, why would you sign him? Like, you just gave
Ryan
Kerrigan the deal. You drafted Trent Murphy last year. Then you drafted another outside linebacker this year. So it's like, I mean, I understand competition brings out the best in your players, but in the long run, all right, so if Junior Gillette stands out and he becomes that impact player, that means you wasted a second-round pick on Trent Murphy.
Pretty much.
And a second-round pick on this kid that you get from Mississippi State.
Yeah.
So you're wasting picks of your future.
And my thing is this, though, and this goes back to Terrence Knight, because they're both our teammates. They used to go to the University of Temple together. I can recall, matter of fact, right after the Ray Rice incident, I even said that players should never discuss what's like legal cases going on in the league.
Yeah.
Because he said a tweet, and we actually did this on the show last year. He had a tweet that saying anybody who puts a hand on a woman in the NFL should be banned from the league for life.
Yeah.
But in this case, your friend.
Yeah.
And even he said that even the GM even interviewed him as if like he was as if he was getting interrogated like it was a crime.
Yeah.
Well, sir, your friend did commit a crime.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, your friend did.
But the lawyer said, "Well, you can't really sell it as my client. See, you make those kind of statements.
Then you need proof to back it up.
Yeah.
Was he at that beach at that particular time? You need to have proof. Well, no, he was over here because, I have a receipt that said he was eating at this restaurant. He was 20 miles away from that beach when that happened. Or something that's that and the third. You can't. This is like you're saying. This is almost like a Shaggy reference. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
But you're in the bed and it wasn't me.
Yeah, but the thing about so you like if you're innocent.
Yeah.
Here you are coming off of a Pro Bowl season. You're innocent now.
Yeah, you're innocent.
You don't sign a deal for $700,000. I'm sorry, you just don't.
You don't. And
you're gonna maximize your dollars, and also he still had 6 or 7 teams that were interested in him.
Exactly.
And you signed the first deal for $700,000.
Yeah, I mean, and my thing is the whole. And with the Saints situation, now the Saints aren't like the St. Louis Rams where they're very defensive line heavy. I mean, them losing Junior Gillette and then taking that $17 million hit.
Yeah.
That's devastating.
They cut him before he even went to trial. So there's some kind of evidence.
There's something
they know.
there. That's what I'm saying. That's why I always tell people, read the tea leaves when you see these type of situations. Like people, especially in the league, people do stuff and it's not like on some emotional stuff. They have facts. They have stuff that backs certain stuff up. There is a reason why a guy of his caliber got released. And then they're taking an $18 million hit. Now, they can do stuff with the $18 million. They could improve that team in so many different ways. But they like, you know what? I'll eat that $17 million up and don't worry about it. Versus here, and then, you got a guy like a Terrence Knight who was really defending him because they interviewed him Friday. He talked to the media. And it's just like, okay, you making as if like he's like a little Boy Scout, like
Yeah.
like is he gonna sell us popcorn during training camp this week? I mean, seriously. I mean, he really seriously conveyed to everybody, it was like, well, he's a good guy, he's a family man. But then in the same token, when Ray Rice had an incident, and you the first one to tweet that. I remember the day like infamous, September 8th, that Monday, September 8th, 2014. He was one of the first guys that voiced his tweet talking about something of a guy who puts a hand on his wife or a woman in the league, they should be banned for life. And I'm like, this is nothing but a walking contradiction.
Yeah.
It is, and it's just like, and that's why I'm like, there is a reason why he got released. There is a reason. You don't get rid of a guy of that type of caliber unless, like you said, unless you know something definitively or you have some information that implicates him at the scene of this crime.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. And then you don't even know, and this crazy thing about it is, you know how long he's going to be suspended. I mean, because even though this new rule is he's going to be 6 weeks.
The least case scenario is 6 games.
6 games, which is saying, like, and then even with that, that's my thing. It's such the calculated risk. Everybody's like, well, like you said, the $700,000 isn't that bad, but just a guy that that's going to be suspended. Actually, the best case scenario is 6 because the new policy suggests 6, but who knows? Roger Goodell might send him 12 games.
Yeah. Because
you know how wish-washy he can be at times when it comes to litigations of that nature. So, we're going to do our NFC North preview.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the Packers, the Bears, Vikings, and Troy Lions, yes. Last but definitely not least, the Troy Lions. First question. Can the Packers recover after the NFC Championship meltdown?
I think it's going to be hard, but what's going to happen with them is they're going to lean too much more on Aaron Rodgers this year because too many times in that game. Now, I understand you're playing Seattle, but yet you fell right into what Seattle wanted you to do.
Yep.
Like in the first quarter, they had multiple situations where it's 3rd and short.
Mm-hmm.
And
they didn't convert. Oh my gosh! And I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" And they left a lot of points on the board
by doing that. So you can't beat Seattle kicking field goals.
Yeah.
So that's the problem I do have. Like you have a workhorse running back in Eddie Lacy, so why not lean on him? Like if he can't fall forward and get you a yard, he shouldn't be in the NFL.
Exactly, he shouldn't.
And
he's a big boy.
The defense. Now the secondary is just Clinton Dix because he gave up pass after pass, just standing there.
Yeah, and even and then you're looking at also they have Sam Shields there as well, and then you got Casey Hayward, and then Morgan Burnett is a strong safety. Now the secondary, I mean the secondary might be the issue in the sense.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're looking at, because you're looking at offense, I think.
But also, I think what they did with the defense, once they started moving Clay Matthews around. He settled into that middle linebacker role. I think he did a phenomenal job with what he was asked to do. But you kind of took away from what his bread and butter is because imagine a defense, you're going up. If I'm a quarterback and I look up and I see Clay Matthews on one end and Julius Peppers on the other end, I'm like, okay, that clock in my head just got shorter.
Like, look, we got to, do something about that.
Yeah, so to move Clay Matthews to the middle, like his responsibilities changed. Like everybody knew he was blitzing, so really at the line, all you have to do is stay closer together. Yeah,
that's true. And it's one of those things where, and I like another good thing I like about Green Bay is their receiving core. You look at Jordy Nelson is also
Randall Cobb.
Yeah, Randall Cobb.
And Devontae
Adams and Ty Montgomery. Actually, Ty went to Stanford, didn't he? He went somewhere. Yeah, because he was with Andrew Luck and the boys down at Stanford. And that's one thing where, and like you said, I think they can, like, regular season wise, I think they can in a sense recover. Yeah. I always feel as though when you're that close.
And also, Aaron Rodgers wasn't 100% that game.
He wasn't.
So,
yeah, because even in the Cowboy game, he wasn't 100%. So it was like, because I remember he was hobbling, especially, in that Seattle game. But I think they can recover. I think they're gonna have a better regular season record, and I think they can propel them to doing something, which will, go into record wise in the ending up portion of the preview. Also, question number 2: can the Detroit Lions take the next step and win the NFC North? Of course, his team last year was 11-5. This wasn't your mother or father's Detroit Lions. They were, like I always say, And actually, I said that first, and I need to get a check from Scott Hansen, because Scott Hansen said that on the Red Zone one time. Shout out to Scott Hansen. Used to be, at Comcast Sportsnet back in them days, covering the Ravens. But like you said, Matt Stafford, of course, leads the offense for the Detroit Lions. 4,257 yards last season, 22 touchdowns and 12 picks. Jock Bell is there in the running back position. No Reggie Bush, unfortunately. Reggie Bush went down to the Bay. Receiving core, of course, you got Calvin Johnson and Golden Tate, which are, that's a nice, and that's when people talk about receiving cores, that's when I think I start talking about elite, as far as elite, and even to a point where they complement each other. They're almost like
because I think that's what Detroit was missing, because every game it was just we know Megatron, that's what Stafford's going to look for. That's his safety valve.
And like you're saying, because you've been looking at Golden Tate, because he almost had 100 receptions. He had 99 receptions. Yeah. For 1,331 yards and 4 touchdowns, while Calvin had 71 receptions with 1,077 yards.
And Calvin missed games.
And Calvin missed a substantial amount of time. And that's what I'm saying. And you have the perfect complement. It's almost
And if they could get your boy to actually play some football.
Eric Brown from the University of North Carolina, one of the best young tight ends that's on his way. We had an appetizer. We had an appetizer last season, but I think we're going to start seeing the full course of Eric Brown, the pride of Greensboro, North Carolina. What?
No. The thing with Detroit is, I'm not convinced in Joyce Bell.
Yeah, and like you're saying, I really, especially with your guy that almost had 230 carries and he only had 860 yards, which. So
it's like they gave him, he ran the ball only because he was forced to.
Yeah, it was almost like.
We need 2 yards.
We need 2 yards. We're just gonna create a hole for you for a couple yards.
Yeah, if you fall forward, good. If not, we're just gonna throw it to Megatron and third and short.
Exactly.
And the defensive side of the ball is where.
Intriguing.
Yeah. Because you lose Fairley and Sue. But you replace them with Nada. But Nada is getting older, so I don't think he has that same kind of impact, much like where he was in Baltimore, where they positioned him at all 3 spots at that defensive front spot. So now he's just going to be confined to those defensive tackle spots.
Yeah, and that pretty much that matchup. And that's one thing, like like you said, which, and don't forget the guy Ziggy what's his name? Ziggy Oswa.
That's on the outside. Him and what else they got?
They also got
Jason Jones.
Jason Jones as well, and your boy is Daryl Tapp. Vontae in Philly.
He was last year boy.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. So that's why I did a swift transition.
And linebacker, that's probably the strength of their defense.
Yeah, when you're looking at
DeAndre Levy, Stephen Tullett, long to them to celebrate.
Yeah, please don't. Because don't. Because he tore his Achilles.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not just like, come on,
He
man.
thought it was fourth down. He thought it was third down. It was second down. I mean, so I don't know who the defensive coordinator is.
Their defensive coordinator is. I have to think about that. Who is their defensive coordinator for the? Is it? I have to think. Man, who is their defensive? That's a good question. Who is their defensive coordinator? Terrell Austin.
Okay.
From Terrell Austin. Yeah, and then Terrell Austin's yeah. I mean, because he was from Arizona. Yeah, he was from Arizona.
Now they did get Ramir Abdullah, so I think that's gonna be the biggest pickup for them. Yeah. Take the ball away from Joique Bell. Just make Joique Bell that third and short guy. He's not a 3-down back. Yeah. So with that, I mean, I still think that Detroit is still lost behind the curse of Javed Best.
Yeah, the Javed Best.
I thought he was going to be it. And,
yeah.
He just suffered with those concussion injuries, and he never panned out. And then they also picked up Michael LaShaw the year after that.
Michael LaShaw, University of Illinois.
And so, they just had those guys that you thought were going to pan out, and it didn't work out for them.
Yeah, actually, your boy, he was actually a teammate of your boy at University of California, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He's your boy now.
I mean, hey, man. He gonna be your boy forever, too, man. You know.
Only when they show highlights of the Miracle the middle last year.
Yeah, that's your boy, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Hey, he gotta do his thing. But also, even you're looking at the even in the defensive back spot, you're looking at Glover Quinn at the safeties, and you got James Adehu.
Okay.
Also, and then you got Darius Slay and Alex Carter, and then Rasheed Mathis from the Bethune-Cookman, yeah. Then also Josh Wilson. What, man? Also, question number 3: will the Bears return to glory days?
No, definitely not.
As they got defensive finally. They got in your guy John Fox. Actually, of course, Jay Cutler. I mean, 3,800 yards last season, 28 touchdowns, and 18 picks.
See, the problem that I have with Chicago, Alshon Jeffries is probably a great possession receiver.
Yeah.
So now they go out and go get Kevin White.
Kevin White, yeah. And WVU.
See, those kind of players from West Virginia, they don't pan out like you expect this greatness from them. You look at the Tavon offense and
and Stedman Bell.
Yes.
And
even years ago, Pat White and Steve Slayton.
Yeah. And that kept on, and that's one thing. Like, I think he's gonna be a good player in this league, but people were trying to put him over Amari Cooper, which I told people, look, I don't care. Like if people say, well, he did the thing against Alabama, folks, and I'm not to discredit you. Alabama secondary is questionable at best when it transitions to the league. So it's almost like he's going against pretty much nobody. Focus on the body of work with guys. Yeah. Like when people, I'm not into guys who junior year they just blossom.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper had years and years of film. I mean, he between AJ McCarron and between the boy Blake Sims now, you seen the naturalization of him. You knew, and that's one thing with them. You knew he was next in line. Yeah. Once you go on the litany of receivers when you're looking at a guy like Julio Jones, and then you're like, okay, well, this guy, he next. Yeah. And he showed from day one, once he got to Alabama there. That's why I tell people, like, you got to follow people's body of work.
And because the same thing happened with Geno. I think those guys who play at those smaller colleges, I can say the least conference.
Yeah.
So,
which at that time he was playing in the Big East.
Okay, so like Geno, you saw what he did. He was the first quarterback to throw more touchdowns than he had incompletions in the game. And I'm like, okay, but look at the play skill that they're doing. He's throwing nothing but screen passes to Tavon Austin and Stephen Bailey. So that's not like he's out there throwing
and making decisions and making reads. And that's why you and see how that is transitioning in there, which we'll definitely talk about the AFC East
and also with that, I mean, and the same thing in a sense, not to throw a shot at you, but that's the same thing that happened with RG3. He was a man amongst boys playing in that Big 12 because he was in the spread offense, so it catered to what he wanted to do. So he could sit back, throw to Josh Gordon and what's the other guy's name? Kendall Wright. So it was just easy for him to do that. Then all right, he sees something he don't like, he take off and run. Because everything was spread out forward. And so then when you put him in the NFL and he has to sit in the pocket and read defenses, I mean, that's the problem that you see with these guys transitioning from college to the pros. Now, it's not like they're going up against juggernaut defenses and he's pulling out these kind of numbers. Now, if it was in the Big 12 or the days when Texas and the Texas Tech and Oklahoma were running things and RG3 came out there, then fine, I have no problem. You know what? He did that. Yeah. That guy's, he's there.
Which is different, you know. And
so, like, that's why I see, like you saw what Cam Newton did in college. You knew he was ready for stardom in the NFL because of the body of what he did in college against those type of defenses.
And then, even with that, and then just the ranks that he did, and you got to think about it. Honestly, if it wasn't for Tim Tebow and that kind of, and that's why, and I don't know if me and you talked about this before, but how the favoritism role follows a lot. And Cam Newton was one of the type of guys, and I remember seeing him on the sidelines like, yo, this is a big kid. Like, you know, as far as, you know, he can do some work.
Yeah.
Like, you can, like, sometimes in certain situations, people can pass the eye test.
Yeah.
So a lot of people you can see like, oh yeah, he gonna, he's built, he's ready for it.
When you see some players who get in trouble and then they have to leave a Division I program and they go to a Division II, Division III, and they dominate, and you can see the level of dominance. Like when Cam went to Glenn College, they said, okay, this isn't fair. He looks like a professional athlete against these teams.
Yeah.
So that's why when he went to Auburn, it was a smooth transition, and he still dominated. So that's when you do it. Okay, Cam's got it.
Yeah, and you knew, and that's one thing, and that's probably one of the, well, between Andrew Luck, but you knew, like, from the moment, you're like, October, November, roll around, oh, he's going to be the number one pick in the draft. Like, you knew. Like, it's one of the things where it's like, no one can argue. Like, if you argue with me about this, something's wrong with you. Like, everybody knew it's definitive. It's clear.
Yeah.
Like, the whole Heisman thing, I didn't even watch the Heisman that year, because I was like,
you knew.
It was like, you know what, because I think we were doing something. I'm like, you know what, I'd rather just do Christmas shopping.
Yeah.
And because I knew what Cam Newton was going to do that, as far as he was going to win that. That's
just like this year's Heisman. You knew Marcus Mariota was going to win just by the numbers that he put up.
The numbers he put up, and of course, And also back with the Bears now, and that was so weird about how the Bears, how they were under the Mark Trestman era, because they, like we said, they're definitely not your mom, pa's Chicago Bears, the defensive monster of the midway, the defensive juggernaut that is. They're definitely not that anymore.
To me, Chicago is cursed by Brian Urlacher. That disrespect that they gave him, the way they let him leave, a $2 million. This guy is the staple of it. He's the best since defense that you had that anything resemble that 85 Bears team.
Which I know, and it's a shame it's the 30th anniversary of the 85 Bears, which
and to let him, to disrespect him in that nature, ever since Brian Urlacher left, the middle of Chicago defense just became non-existent.
Yeah, and it's
like people are running on the Bears and having field days.
Because who was it? Because they gave up the most rushing yards
in NFL history.
In NFL history, in which this is like Puppet Hallie's rolling over in his grave.
Yeah.
Like, and I was just like, what's really going on? I mean, and even though I'm not a Virginia Tech guy, but I do like Cal Fuller.
Yeah.
I think Cal Fuller has an opportunity to become,
And see, then they let Peanut Tillman go, and I was
which
like,
I'm just like, why?
You did it again.
Yeah,
you have not learned. Don't let your guys bow out on themselves. Let them, okay, like tell them the plan that you have in place. Just don't disrespect them with an offer. You take this or you leave it.
Or you can, or like you said, like what they do in the NBA in a sense where they give you like a wink type of deal, like Dwayne Wade, like in a sense where it's like, okay, I'm gonna take care of you after, like, take less money now, but I'm gonna take care of you for the rest of your life. Like, we would be in the front office, like type situation, where it's like, you know what, get especially in those type of guys who are like, who've been there for a substantial amount of time through different errors and what have you, and they're like class personified. Like, they would be great guys to be in your front office. At least
like you look at Peanut Tillman. Peanut Tillman, before games, walks around in the tailgate section with the fans. Like,
who does that?
Yeah.
Like, no one does that. Like, no one. And that's one thing, and that's my thing as far as, especially when a guy on a decline like that, and to a point where it's like he can't go nowhere else.
Yeah.
Almost like I like how and I sound a little biased, but I like what Washington did with Chris Cooley.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Cooley had some deals, but I think they just really weren't worth his while. But they got him in a position. And now he's working for the local station there.
I'll go one better. I'll say with the same situation, the way you guys did with Santana Moss.
Yeah.
So even like last year, like
we knew, because matter of fact, I when I kept on seeing him get DNPs, I was like, you know what, this is it.
Even the fact he made the team was questionable.
Was shocking because they were really deep at that receiver position. Because at that time they were like, well, we might dress 8. And I'm like, you dress 8?
Because you had Jackson, Garcon, Roberts, Hankerson, Grant, and then you had Santana Moss. So I'm like, well, something isn't right.
And then, because I remember the Thursday night game, I was like, oh, my man Tanner got some shorts on and some flip flops. I was like, yeah, he chilling, man. Chilling like me.
Yeah, so it was.
Yeah.
I wish we handled some situations a lot better, like Brian Dawkins.
Because Brian Dawkins, man, he should have been a life.
But that's a Joe Banner move. Like, Joe Banner never wanted to pay anybody once they hit 30, and that's what we got that reputation from. Once you hit 30, it was like running backs. Yeah, you hit 30, you're no longer there.
Yeah, you're no longer there. I want a youth movement.
And to not like Brian Dawkins, only thing they offered him was 2 years. He begged him, just give me the 3rd year in the contract. That's all I'm asking. Yeah. Joe Banner just stood pat 2 years. That's it. And he let him go.
And that's one thing is like the whole situation with Dez. It's crazy.
And since then, we've had safety problems since Brian Dawkins has left.
Yeah.
Like, hopefully we fixed it now this year with Malcolm Jenkins. Well, Malcolm Jenkins was a good addition last year.
Yeah.
And now we trying Walter Thurman there. So, I mean, hopefully the safety situation is finally resolved because, Brian Dawkins, they honored him at the Ring of Honor last year. Yeah. And so, was it last year? No, year before that. So, things are finally settled down.
And, he retired as an Eagle.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you can always make up for those type of situations. But also, and then you're looking at just on their defense. I mean, with the Bears defense, it's just, like you said, that linebacker core, it's just, no one really stands out. I mean, you're looking at Sam Macho from Texas, Jonathan Bostic.
Oh, we have his brother.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Mason Foster. I mean, these guys aren't your typical household.
Yeah, so Lance Briggs is gone.
Lance Briggs is, definitely out of the building. It really just, this team it's going to be a long year in Chicago.
Yeah.
Root for the Bulls. Because it's going to be a long year in the Windy City. I would put them in the Christian Hackenberg sweepstakes, but I think I'm going to give them a little bit more wins.
Christian Hackenberg, product of Fort Union?
Yeah, of course. We got to shout out VA guys. And also, question number 4. Will AP return to 2K status?
No. Not at his age, not now.
Yeah,
and the direction that they're going, like, so now you have the young quarterback. Even though I think the Mike Wallace move is disastrous for the development for Teddy Bridgewater. Because you got the mild mannered Greg Jennings. Then you got loudmouth Mike Wallace, who's going to demand the ball I'm open every time. So I don't think because now you're going to cause Bridgewater to throw those passes that he doesn't, that he shouldn't throw because just to appease the ego of a wide receiver.
Yeah. And like you said, and then I mean, to me, it may not go to 2K status, but I mean, he'll get up there. I'm gonna say 2000.
Yeah, I mean, and then also the emergence of Matt Asiata. So you know, you don't have to give AP that workload as far as those short yardages anymore.
Yeah, you can give him. Yeah, you can give him situations where he can. He can go. Which and you know, like you said, the whole receiving core, which. Like you said, and then like Mike Wallace, he got Cordero Patterson.
Yeah, so yeah,
and a nice little threat in the that as well. I like the offensive line. Look at Matt Khalil, David Yankee, John Sullivan, and Brandon Fusco as well.
Now with Minnesota, the thing that they hang their hat on is going to be their defense.
Yeah. I mean. And rightfully so. I mean, I think they do have, you know, a fairly decent defense.
They got Sharif Floyd.
They also got
Anthony Barr from last year.
Anthony Barr, UCLA.
Eric Kendricks. So you got those two. The teammate effect now.
Yeah.
And the steal of which they got undrafted safety out of UVA, Anthony Harris.
Yeah, Anthony Harris.
I coached this kid as a 9-year-old in rec league football.
Yeah,
when I tell you the boy has got it, the boy has got
Harris,
it. I do not know why he was not drafted. I couldn't tell you. But his football IQ is through the roof. He is a coachable kid. I wish Chip Kelly could have got his hands on him.
And they also got another VA guy as well. Shout out to former deep run quarterback, Antoine Exum.
Yeah.
Antoine Exum is in the fold. I remember seeing him playing deep run. He demolished Hermitage, which is just actually Hermitage beat them at that time. As a matter of fact, it was their senior night, which I was like, y'all picked Hermitage to play y'all senior night. Like, what? But you know. But yeah, that's gonna be very interesting. Shout out to Antoine Exum. You know, and like I said, I'm really not a tech guy, but I mean, hey, they churning them out down there. You know, shout out to him. Former deep run quarterback, a very, very good player to watch when he was in high school at deep run. It was a fun time at the time to watch him play. And who else? Actually, in other defensive backs, they got Trey Waynes from from Michigan State. Then they got one of my guys I like, Cap Merlin from
Now the thing about Trey Waynes, like he lit it up at the combine running that 40, that 4.240. But the thing, like, what shocked me was watching his performance in that bowl game against Baylor. The man couldn't cover if he had a blanket on.
Man, he couldn't have caught it.
Bryce Petty picked him apart time and time again. And I'm like, hold up, this is a guy that you want as a corner in the NFL? I'm like, nah, it's not happening. But
that whole game was crazy. That was one of the things. Was like, I thought Bell was gonna win.
Yeah.
Cause Michigan State ended up winning, right? Yeah, cause that big lead. That was like a 20-some point lead, wasn't it?
I guess Sean Oakland didn't want them to.
Man, that's when the world got introduced to him. Well, the internet world.
Yeah.
But yeah, so rounding out this week's, this preview, how will they finish? So we can predict the records for the Packers, Lions, Bears, and Vikings.
I'll go Green Bay 12-4.
Okay.
Detroit 10-6.
Mm-hmm.
Vikings 9-7.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago get ready to 4-12.
4-12. Okay. We got the Packers 13-3.
Okay.
The Vikings 10-6. I think them being 7-9 last year, then you get Adrian Peterson. I like that. Lions 9-7, and the Bears 5-11. So fairly, So with definitely, and next week we'll go into the NFC and the AFC South.
Okay.
So we'll be talking some Colts, Jaguars, Panthers. You know, we talking a lot. Actually, some of these teams are probably going to be in the Christian Hackenberg sweepstakes. So any final words before we conclude this week's Couch Coach Live?
No, I'm a little upset. I missed. They had open training camp today for the Eagles.
Oh, where?
Open to the fans. It's Lincoln Financial.
Oh, Lincoln Financial. Oh, okay. You ain't take that trip to Philly, man.
No, I didn't.
Go what the Pats and get cheesesteak. You know. But you know there is a camp that's not too far from your residence.
Listen,
that you can
I have to go there.
I mean,
going on DEFCON 3 terrorist alert.
I mean, to me, all you got, you just cross that river and you'll be right there.
Not on DMV. Was that DMV Drive?
On the corner of Lee and DMV Drive. the picturesque. But I mean, hey, football is back.
It is.
Wow, Sunday's the first preseason game. I'm actually looking forward to it.
We got two teams.
The two teams we covered today will be playing. We got the Minnesota Vikings and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Be a great chance to see Landry Jones, and Sean Hill playing. Teddy and Ben ain't gonna get much snaps. And then just the whole Hall of Fame thing. Yeah. That's why I like. I
do want to see the Hall of Fame speeches. Yeah.
I definitely want to see, especially, and they're going to allow Junior Seau's daughter to speak. They're going to allow her to speak now. I guess after we talked about that on Couch Coach Live. I guess Roger Goodell listened and was like, you know what, we might need to put her on. Yeah. So it's going to be, that's one thing I like about how the NFL does it, and they're the ultimate reality television show. I love it. Because, like, you hear who will make the Hall of Fame at the Super Bowl. You're already kind of hyped about the Super Bowl. And then Hall of Fame comes. And then the Hall of Fame game. And then preseason.
Yeah.
And, so it's going to be very, very interesting. So follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook under Couch Coach Live. What can we follow you at, sir?
Showtime _804 on Twitter. Showtime 804 on Instagram.
All right. And you can also watch this on YouTube. We'll have it up on YouTube momentarily. So for LA, this is Couch Coach, and see you next week. It's Couch Coach Live.